As His Excellency told you, we are working in 6 basins: the Volta Basin, the Nile Basin in Africa, Ganges, Brahmaputra, Meghna in South Asia, Mekong in Southeast Asia, Colorado in North America, and then my own backyard, the Murray-Darling Basin in Australia. So the question I don't think needs answering in this room, but it's a question that must be answered beyond this room, is the issue of what are we doing? Not what we're doing today and launching the network, but what are we doing on the ground in the context of food, energy, environment, water. As His Excellency pointed out, the 2007-2008 food price spike shifted the way we think about what's happening to food prices. I think the complacency up until that point was that food prices would continuously decline, that we had the ability to feed the world easily because we were able to do that since the last food crisis in 1973 with the Green Revolution. But that shock of those prices, and then of course there was another shock in 2010 and 2011 with wheat prices, a cascade of failures in some sense, which generated a whole range of change, in particular in the Middle East. It was a causal factor. To me, joining the dots, and thank you for mentioning that, linking the dots is in some sense what we're trying to do, and to make some of those dots go away, I would hope if they're the wrong color, is really looking at those issues of global insecurity. We see insecurity in all sorts of ways around the world today, but these are symptoms that we see on our TV screens, some unpleasant scenes. What are the causes of these? And I think the causes are, for many of the problems we currently face, are the lack of proper diagnosis of what's happening in food, energy, environment, and water. And coupled with that are these misguided policies. I'm sure you can all think of them. And the question then arises is, well, how do we change those policies? What can we do? Well, what we're trying to do, this group of 40, the Food, Energy, Environment, Water Network, we're trying to make and generate better decisions. And how do you do that? Well, the cynics, not that there are any cynics in this room, the cynics will say, well, isn't this all about vested interest? Yes, there will always be vested interests. There are vested interests in the Roman Empire. There'll be vested interests in 1,000 years to come. But the point is that there are lots of decision makers who want to make better decisions and can make better decisions. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take the existing information. We're not trying to build yet another model, as much as modeling is of interest to people. But we're trying to take existing information, put it together, and as Blanca told us, integrate it in the way that we make better decisions. The world is an uncertain place. It's a risky place. We need to have frameworks to consider those risks across those systems. So when we make decisions, as His Excellency told us about in terms of biofuels, we think about the consequences of biofuel subsidies. We think about, well, what will that do in terms of land and water usage? What will that do in terms of food availability? And it's a fact now, we know this from the data that's available to us from the last few years, from what happened in 2007 and 2008, that high oil prices coupled with biofuel subsidies were major contributors to the food price spike. So food prices in a general price index increased by 80% between 2004 and 2008. And you know what? Most people were surprised by that. They didn't see it coming. Okay? So that's an example of the sorts of problems that we can face into the future under business as usual. Fortunately, there are people who have taken the lead. There's the perfect storm work that was done by the Foresight team through the United Kingdom government support and others. They've identified the problems. They've talked about sustainable intensification in agriculture. We need to do more than identify problems. We need to do more than just have vision. We need to have substance on the ground. And that's why we as a group of 40 have got together. It is about substance. It's about working with decision makers in 6 basins in the world. That population in those 6 basins comes to over 1 billion. Approximately 1 in 7 people in the world live in those 6 basins. So there's a lot of work ahead for us. What we are moving to do is to work with partners in each of those 6 basins. We have co-chairs within our network. We want to have co-chairs as partners in those basins. and we also want to work on the ground in a variety of ways. So that's what's coming. I'm really, really excited about it, and I'm very, very proud of the people that are around us as part of this team. We have younger people who've just graduated here today. We have people who have international reputations in terms of what they're doing. All of us have got together, and we're all part of the work of this group of 40. So I'm going to leave it at that. You can hopefully see the passion that I have and the passion that's shared with my colleagues and friends within the network.